What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today, of course, we have an absolute ton of stuff to talk about with the Forsaken DLC, the big September expansion, or Comet, basically. So, of course, it has been revealed. I'm sure you guys have seen the trailer, but I want to go through as usual and point out things you may have missed, things you may not know about, and just general news information. So, we have 9 new supers. Yes, you heard that right. 9 new actual supers. Going to go over what they are, what they do, my impressions. We also have random rolls, not just weapon randomization, but actual random rolls confirmed 100% are coming back. And of course, bear in mind, I've actually played firsthand with this stuff when I went to Bungie recently. So new supers, new weapon slots, exotics, Gambit, stuff like that. There is, of course, some stuff that I still can't talk about just yet because it's under embargo, but for the most part, I don't have to speculate. I can tell you guys firsthand what this stuff is like and what's going on here. So expect a bunch of videos right here on this channel covering absolutely everything. And of course, with E3 next week, which I'll be attending, expect even more videos as well. Of course, if you enjoyed the video and want to support this channel, then leaving a like rating down below is much appreciated. And let's get into it. So starting with just the basics, this of course is Destiny 2's huge Taken King style expansion launching September 4th. That is the release date. No surprise, it costs the same as Taken King, so $40. And there's also an annual pass bundle which gets you the Forsaken DLC plus 3 mini DLCs that are coming out later throughout year 2. So we have one in winter called Black Armory, one in spring next year called Joker's Wild, and another one later in the summer called Penumbra. But pretty much this Forsaken DLC is the same price and size of Taken King, so that's what to expect from it. So let's talk about brand new supers. So of course, like I said, we're getting 9 brand new supers added to the 9 current subclasses. So this is going to be another option inside, say the Gunslinger has 2 blocks. There's going to be a third one, and that is the new kind of subclass option with the brand new super. So for the Gunslinger, his new super is basically throwing a ton of solar throwing knives, kind of like these ninja blades. The Arc Strider has a really cool super. He basically spins around his arc staff and can actually deflect incoming projectiles. The new Nightstalker super is basically the arc blade from Destiny 1, or Blade Dancer. I've played with this a bunch and played against it. I mean, you guys know me, Nightstalker is my favorite class and I love it, but now it basically has a close quarters melee super as well. Moving on to the Warlock, the new Stormcaller super is basically a massive just beam of energy. I'm not even sure what it does. It's just a huge blast out from the hand. As well as the supers, these new subclass trees do come with new perks, of course. So you can see this one for the Stormcaller. He's actually doing a devour where he eats his grenade and activates his Arc Soul. It does show him eating a purple grenade, which I think is just work in progress, but obviously this is something a Stormcaller can't do normally. The new Dawnblade super is one that I played with a lot, and this one I really liked. I think it's gonna be very useful. Unfortunately, I can't go into massive detail besides the stuff Bungie have shown off here in this trailer, but as you can see, he takes the Dawnblade and plunges it into the ground. I'll leave it to you guys to speculate what that does, but it is very, very cool. I loved it, and I don't really play Dawnblade much at all. The new Voidwalker super is some sort of roaming one, which you can teleport around, just blink and like disappear and reappear in places, and you can also do this massive explosion that has a massive area effect around you. The new Defender super is the only one not shown off in this video, and it wasn't at the event when I played, so I'm not sure what it does. We can talk about the other 2 Titan supers though. This one is basically a huge flaming hammer, very similar to the giant flaming axe in Rise of Iron. You can swing with it, you can hit people with it, and also slam the ground with it to send forward like a trail of fire. As you can see, this boss gets destroyed and turns into a massive flaming vortex. The new Striker super I'm still not 100% sure on. I did have it used against me a few times, but you seem to turn into this massive kind of torpedo that just goes forward in this arc and kind of slams the ground. I'm not sure if this is one singular slam like the old Fist of Havoc, or whether you can get up and do more of them. But yeah, those are basically 8 of the 9 new supers, which look absolutely amazing, and they also play amazing too. They are really, really fun. I actually really like how we're getting more depth and basically choice to the existing 9 subclasses than just 3 new supers. So first, we have an exotic rocket launcher called the Twin Rabbit, which is made by the Daito Foundry, the same guys that made the Jade Rabbit. You can see some of the perks that are still work in progress. It says gravity and fire, shoots 2 tracking rockets, 1 void and 1 solar. The void rocket suppresses and the solar one causes damage over time with burning. We can actually see a quick clip of this in action. So you can see the fiery rocket and the void one at the same time, which is very, very cool. There's also a brand new exotic sword being held by the Titan in a lot of these clips. You can see it here, very kind of fancy looking, and it also does this weird swing which launches a kind of void projectile. So it's kind of like a long range, almost like the Boltcaster sword from Destiny 1. Really hope this is a good sword, it's powerful and has a lot of ammo, because again, swords are pretty trash in this game right now. We also have a brand new exotic hand cannon, which is very Thorn reminiscent, but is definitely not the Thorn. I know a lot of people have been saying this is a Thorn coming back, but it's definitely not. It's a different gun completely. So this DLC is going to have 2 new locations, both set inside the Reef, of course. We've got one called the Tangled Shore, which is basically a bunch of asteroids and rocks kind of like bundled build to each other. You might remember in a recent video I pointed out some interesting hints about Cade filling up the Prison of Elders, and I was speculating how the prison is going to be a big part of this DLC in the Reef, and my speculation was correct. So that's how the story begins, apparently, with Cade in the prison doing some weird stuff here, and there's Fallen and Cabal like fighting each other. But Bungie described it as a Western revenge vibe, which you can see a hunter definitely fits in here. There's asteroids, there's tumbleweeds, there's gritty and dark, and there's also pirates. Of course, the enemy are called the Scorn. We'll get into those in a second, but the second location is the Dreaming City. This is super interesting because actually the Awoken's homeworld, so it's where they're from or something to do with where they came from. Obviously, the Awoken and where they're from and how they're created is a big mystery still in Destiny, so we're probably going to find that out. But the Dreaming City's got a lot of very different locations. Some are kind of like these sunny castles that you'd see in like Game of Thrones, and some of them are these like really weird demonic places you'd see in Lord of the Rings. This is also where the brand new raid takes place, and there's also apparently a massive secret to this place that we're going to discover. Obviously, Bungie don't want to spoil it, but there's some kind of big thing going on here. They also said it's kind of like a mix between Vault of Glass and the Dreadnought. There's a ton of puzzles, secret corners, and mysteries to be solved as well. Strangely enough, even though this is obviously a Fallen themed DLC, that's the main enemy, there's also a lot of Taken stuff, so I'm not sure what the deal is between the Taken and this Dreaming City, but they also said the city is going to evolve and change over time, so I'm not sure what they mean by that, but the more people raid apparently here, there's going to be a lot of changes happening over time. In terms of this brand new raid, obviously they didn't give a bunch of details, but we do have quite a few interesting things. Like I said, it is set on its own world, the Dreaming City, which is a very kind of big Vault of Glass / Dreadnought puzzle location. The raid team also listened to our feedback on Leviathan, and this one is going to have more bosses than any raid in Destiny history. So King's Fall had the most bosses. We had the War Priest, Golgroth, and Oryx himself. Technically, in the Bungie raid team said it themselves, they don't consider the daughters to be bosses. So I think that means King's Fall has 3 bosses, meaning this one is going to have 4. The new enemy type, like I said, is called the Scorn. They're basically heavily adapted Fallen. These guys are definitely a lot more different to any race we've gotten before. I think this is the most new kind of enemy we've gotten. A lot more new than the Taken or the Splicers were. I mean, besides the fact they've got 4 eyes, you can hardly tell these guys are Fallen. So they're definitely the most kind of new race in my opinion. And I personally love the Fallen as a race, so I'm pretty excited to see these guys. It seems the main enemy or threat that Bungie are talking about so far, at least, are willing to reveal, are the 7 Barons, which are these super evil, super villainous, and kind of criminal versions of the Scorn. So there are 7 main bosses we need to track down. You can see a few of them right here. This guy's super interesting because he's literally a Fallen that's fused with the Hive somehow. He comes out of a Hive portal, has a Hive gun, screams out the Hive, and has got a weird helmet, but he's definitely a Fallen, so it's a weird kind of fusion there. There's also this dude who's like a melee boss, and he swings this flaming like spike ball at you. This Baron is literally wearing the skin of a Cabal war beast, so those attack dogs that chase you. He's wearing the skin and basically head and face of those things, which is really crazy. And apparently this boss is a giant sniper battle, so he's sniping at you, and you need to use long range weapons at him because I don't think you get close to him. There's also this dude with a giant kind of lightning rod on his head. I'm not sure if he's the main guy, the big kind of bad Baron, but he's definitely important somehow. I'm not sure if these are strike bosses or campaign bosses, but either way, these Barons are definitely the main villains. We also, as expected, have some friendly Fallen showing up. So this dude is obviously on our side, he's working with us. Not sure if he's a vendor in a social space or just a character in the story somehow, but he's definitely on our side. He speaks English as well, like Varix, and he doesn't seem to be on the same side as those pirate Fallen Baron guys. Now, moving on to some of those big features and updates coming alongside the DLC. We firstly have random weapon rolls, which there isn't really much to say other than that we're literally getting random rolls back. Obviously, Bungie called it weapon randomization, and a lot of people are kind of skeptical, thinking, is it really going to be random rolls? Are they going to call it something else? Bungie literally said word for word, random weapon rolls are coming back. So as simple as that, they're back in the game. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be the exact same system as Destiny 1, because obviously the main point is that there were problems with that system. This was some of the stuff that we talked about during the summit, but ways to make the random roll system not as bad as Destiny 1, where you get really out of luck if you've got bad RNG or if you don't play the game a lot. On top of that, something separate is the brand new and updated mod system, which they talked about a little bit, but the mod system is getting a massive overhaul. And then as well as that, we also have the Masterwork system, which has been upgraded and changed and overhauls for each weapon. So there's going to be progression, ways to rank up and level up your weapons. The other big thing, of course, is the weapon slot system, as you've probably seen. So you can, if you want, use 3 shotguns. You can have a primary, secondary, and heavy shotgun if you want, as you can see in this gameplay. The same with snipers. There are kinetic primary snipers. I've used them myself. Weren't very good because obviously running 3 snipers is not a very effective playstyle, but of course you're going to run out of ammo a lot, and you won't spawn with ammo if you pick a bunch of snipers. So the choice is there, but don't expect running 3 shotguns to be easy and this new amazing loadout. There are obviously massive disadvantages to it. We also did catch a glimpse of some new armor perks, which is very interesting, but honestly, in my opinion, I'm not a fan of what I'm seeing here. I'm hoping this stuff changes. So you can see this Warlock Bond, which says while in the Dreaming City, which is that big raid location, you deal more damage to all targets, but also while in the Dreaming City, you take more damage from all sources. I'm really not a fan of any armor that gives you a debuff. Like, why would you want to run something that actually nerfs you? Armor should always be beneficial. It should give you good perks that help you, not make you weaker and take more damage. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments, but after all this time, I don't want to see negative drawback perks on our armor that make us weaker. Now, I also wanted to talk about Gambit, which is the new mode that I can now say is that big thing everyone's talking about from the summit. The big brand new mode that we were all talking about and mentioned, this is Gambit. So I'm still not allowed to go into detail on my impressions or how the stuff works in detail, but I can give a kind of breakdown based on what Bungie have already said on how the mode works. I know a lot of people are still confused on what actually goes on here. So I think the best way to explain it is basically 2 teams of 4 guardians, so the same lobby but in separate arenas, in the same place but can't see each other. These 2 teams of 4 are racing against each other of who can kill their ads and the boss called the Primeval the quickest. So it's literally that 2 teams of 4 racing to kill this boss as quick as they can. Obviously there's a lot more mechanics and stuff involved, but one of the biggest things is that in addition to messing with the enemy team and slowing them down and kind of making it more difficult for them, you can physically go through a portal, as you can see here, and go into the enemy's kind of realm and kill them like PvP. So that is why it's PvE VP, because you're fighting enemies and PvE mobs, but also you can kill each other like Crucible the same way that normally works. This is what it looks like, the glowing red enemies. These are invaders that have come through from the enemy team and they're trying to mess with you, and they can again make things more difficult. That is just about everything I'm allowed to say about the mode so far, but of course next week look out for a bunch more videos on this channel. So that has been a lot of talking as usual. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this big roundup, and let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Of course, if you enjoyed it and want to support this channel, then a like rating down below is always much appreciated. It goes without saying, but I'll have a bunch of videos on this channel covering a ton more stuff. There is so much more to get through, and of course next week for E3 expect lots more videos. So if you're new to my channel, make sure you are subscribed and you won't miss out. In the meantime, if you want to watch another video from me, you can click this image on screen right now. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching, appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next one.